We're good.
First time.
It is another beautiful and wonderful Sunday afternoon here on 3CC, the third Continental Congress. I'll let you enjoy these wondrous memes for a moment here. We have some nice special guests with us today. Founder of Uncensored America, Sean Semanko, will be here shortly, and Jack Kentner is back, the wild and uncontrollable Penn State College madman. We'll be talking to them for the first hour here, mostly about Uncensored America and what it does, and then in the second hour, it's also tiresome. We'll talk about major news and events. Sean may stick around. Sean's joining us remotely today. Chat, hello. Let me say hi to you guys here real quick. First, Laughing Dog, welcome. Skunk12, welcome back. Blueprint, welcome back. Bear, welcome back. Markets and Moto, welcome back. I like to see it. Some regulars. This is me. I'm John Ward. This is my face. Hello. Jack, hello. Welcome back.
Glad to be back.
And Sean, it's always I can never remember which button you are. There you are, Sean. Welcome.
There we are.
So thank you for joining us.
On.
Absolutely. Uncensored America. Let's just jump right into it here real quick. I'll pull up your website that I pulled down because we were talking before the show and I'm an idiot. This one here. You are involved in bringing what I would call an influencer to what seems to be major college campuses. Is that somewhat accurate?
Basically, I mean, we're a free speech organization on college campuses, and we bring censored and controversial college campuses to fight back against censorship and cancel culture, since we believe those are the biggest threats to free speech right now. So we're always trying to bring people that want to have conversations and want to have a little fun, hopefully. Like, we like bringing back color to conversations and like bringing some more interesting perspectives that you just don't hear anymore. It seems like over the past, I'd say 4, 5 years, 6 years really, you can even stretch back that far, you just haven't had really many interesting speakers, debates, conversations being had on campuses. And that's because a lot of these other organizations are scared to bring these people because they're too controversial. They're too scared to touch them. And that's where we're different, is that we're not afraid to bring anybody. We'll talk to anyone, and we'll have the speakers that others won't. We actually stand up for the canceled by hosting them rather than just talking about them and not really doing anything about it.
How long have you been doing this?
Well, I started in 2020, but then we all had the COVID pandemic hit and shut everything down, so we were delayed for a bit. And then once 2021 rolled around, we hosted our first event in Penn State, which was with Milo Yiannopoulos. He had an event called Pray the Gay Away, which was right when he was in the process of refraining from homosexual activities, and he was discussing his return to his Catholic faith, his sort of rejuvenation, that as he was just coming out it was like 3 or 4 months after he announced that. And so we hosted him because we've been hoping to host him for a long time. Like way back in 2020, we were trying to host him, but pandemic canceled everything. So we came back. It's our first event, lots of protests. We had hundreds of people attend. It was a big success. If anyone wants to check out our YouTube channel, you get Uncensored America on YouTube. It's one of our most watched videos, Milo Yiannopoulos Pray the Gay Away. Very funny, very entertaining. Like, if you're a fan of Milo like me, you're going to love it. And it's just really refreshing seeing him on a campus again, because he was very famous as I would assume your audience knows from back in the day.
Oh, sure.
When he would come to campuses and cause a lot of controversy.
You've been very humble, but that's you. You're the guy behind the scenes creating all this havoc in the news by bringing people like Milo and Gavin and things like that. That's what Uncensored America is, right? And
yeah, we're troublemakers. Like
I don't see it that way at all. Frankly, I think the way you said at the beginning, it makes perfect sense to me. And I kind of want to ask you, I imagine, actually, let me ask you that first. Like, what is it like when you go to try to have a controversial speaker, like Milo, come to, say, Penn State? Like, do you get a phone call from the administration and is like, what do you do? Like, how does that start the pushback?
Oh, you get a lot of phone calls. But that's a good question because I think one of the biggest myths I've learned ever since I started doing this kind of stuff was that you can bring controversial speakers to campus. There's always this sort of talking point in conservative media and in conservative discussions where, oh, colleges are just censoring people left and right. It's kind of true. I mean, the truth is that if you're a public university, you have to host these people. If a student organization says, we want to host this person and do this event, the university can't do anything about it. But what they do is they make it incredibly difficult for you to do that. They do
Right.
everything in their power to make it difficult and annoying. Like they'll give you lots of different treatment for things. Like they'll be like, "Oh, you actually need to buy this paperwork. Actually needs to have this on it. Oh, you forgot to dot the I here. We can't accept this." You know, they give you a lot more scrutiny, and they won't respond to emails quickly. I could go off on this for hours.
Yeah,
Like our
no,
last
go
event
off.
when
I
we
mean,
were
it's interesting to know. So they're using every unofficial channel available to them to say no without ever actually saying no. Is kind of what it sounds like you're saying.
pretty much. I mean, with our last event, so like with Milo, honestly, at first we didn't get a lot of pushback, but once the posters went up with "Pray the Gay Away," then
Yeah,
that's when all hell broke
sure.
loose because you know colleges are going to lose their minds over that, and so we had lots of Antifa were putting up flyers, and then they were going to protest it, but under that President Barron, the event went smoothly. They contained the protest. Hundreds protested, but it was well contained, and nothing disruptive happened. The event went on without hitch. It was a success. But when we tried to host Gavin McInnes and Alex Stein, that was different. That's when it really hit the fan because Gavin, even though if you meet him, nice guy, amazing guy, super professional, super nice. I love him. He's so great to work with. But they think he's like the devil. They think he's like Anakin Skywalker coming to campus and gonna execute Order 66 or something. Like he's gonna just start like mowing down minorities or something. Like that's what they genuinely think. And then he comes and he's just like, "Hey guys, don't get into debt. You know, make good choices, get married, have a few kids. Bye." That's it. It's very simple, actually. And, you know, he tells a few jokes that you would hear on Chappelle's show, maybe, you know,
Sure.
but they all lose their minds over it. Massive protests. And Alex Stein, who's like this lovable, really nice guy. I love him so much. Alex, if you're watching, if you see this, love you, man. If everybody doesn't know who he is, you got to follow him. Super, super, super good guy. But he went out into the protests and they thought he was Gavin at first. They thought he was Hitler 2, 3, and 4 right there. And then they realized, oh, this is not Gavin. This isn't the boogeyman we're
Also,
trying to kill
they were
right now.
freaking the wrong person. You're saying.
Yeah, they had the wrong person. They literally, if you look at the protest
Just
footage,
point me
if
in a
you go,
direction and I'll start hating. That's
literally, it's that. They're just like, oh, that looks like the speaker. There he is. And they just all freaked out and they thought that this was Gavin. But then they slowly realized no, it wasn't. But he was annoying them so much that they were like, "Yeah, we'll take him. He's ours. Like, we'll deal with him first. Then we'll get to Gavin." And they were freaking out. And there's this one girl. You might have seen the video. If anybody's ever seen anything about us, it's this video where this girl who looks like a 2016 meme, like the way she looks appearance-wise, is very reminiscent of those SJWs,
Yeah,
as we
sure.
used to call them back in the day. She's got this like really mean like look on her face, and then she's like screaming like F you, you suck." And he's filming it the whole time, and Alex is just smiling and kecking him. He's like, "I love you, you're the best."
So
And
the
then she's like staring at him, and then she like builds up the courage and it spits right on him.
oh
Clip goes viral everywhere.
the so
And
go ahead.
mhm.
Well, I just mean it's kind of I kind of assumed a lot of these protesters were not like true believers, that they were being political. You're saying in your experience they are true believers. Like that's interesting.
Well, you know, it's funny with her. She is actually the internet's crazy quick. Found out who she was, and I'm not going to dox her or anything, but she is a was at the time was a high school student. She wasn't even a Penn State student.
Mm.
But a lot of these protesters, like from my experience, there's like a core group of the 10 or 20. They're the generals. They're like giving the marching orders, saying
Yeah.
like, do this, do that, burn this down, smash this. They're kind of the ones that are the true believers, and everybody else is either just like there because they're like, oh, what's this?
That's what their friends are
And then they
doing.
get kind of wrapped into it. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah, I hate racism too. Yeah, I hate this guy too. And then they just don't even know what they're talking about. They don't even know
And
what
they're screaming it at the
the
wrong
gab.
person who's saying, hey, consider getting married and getting a job. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, they
Okay.
just
That's so I mean, do you
they
get a
just
feel that there's people that like you're now on someone's radar? And so whenever you go try to do events, there's this hardcore group that counter strikes you. I mean, like,
yeah, pretty much. We're on a wanted list for sure, and that's where like kind of all these things we're talking about kind of converged at the Gavin event because it we were on the Antifa's radar after the Milo thing, and so when the Gavin thing happened,
they were ready for you. Yeah.
they were like, oh, they're back again,
Mm-hmm.
and so they were pretty well prepared for that protest, and they had hundreds come out for that, and there were a lot of onlookers and people that were just curious, but the issue became with that one was that Gavin was very clear to the Proud Boys. Don't wear colors, don't get into fights. We know what happens when this goes down. You go to jail for 20 years for self-defense and
Mm-hmm.
you get screwed. So he was very clear, but there were two people that I guess didn't get the memo, and they came up in Proud Boy attire, and the protesters freaked out because like, we finally got one.
Yeah.
It's like a dog chasing a
Big
car and
big
finally
target.
catches one.
Yeah.
So they had targets on their back, and then when that happened, that's when the violence broke out, and that's when people got into fights. And then there was a guy who I will say is allegedly, probably most likely a Fed, whipped out pepper spray, maced the crowd. Then the event gets shut down.
I
So
was wondering, yeah.
the issue, though, is, and this is where it's kind of goes back to us, your initial question about like, well, how is this process like? How do they try to shut you down? Blah blah blah. They let this event happen. They had 8 divisions of police there from Center County, State College, State of Pennsylvania police, all different municipalities, and this still got shut down because they let the crowd get out of control. And even the guy who pepper sprayed the crowd literally does that, walks past the cops. The cops look at him and he just gets off. He has to this day has not been charged for that. And I think if I've heard this, I don't know if it's in video. Somebody said that the cops pat him on the back. I don't know if that's true,
Mm.
but what I know is true is right after he walked off campus after he did the pepper spray, the FBI stopped him, ID'd him, and we don't know what happened after that. But we do know is that he didn't get charged or anything, and he did get. If you look at Ford Fisher's ex account, he was able to ID him and all this sort of stuff. But and he did a whole piece on it. But it's just crazy how those things happen because you got an event shut down. Even though you had 8 divisions of police, it could have been prevented. But Penn State chose not to intervene. They could have arrested him. They could have stopped. He committed a crime.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we get shut down because they couldn't do their job.
So what is the like? So what's the repercussion of that? Does Penn State turn around and be like, "Well, you can't have any more events because your events are do they play that game or?"
I'm surprised they haven't yet. I think it's because they couldn't get away with it. But I have an amazing lawyer, John Gross, who Alex hooked me up with, who is working with Alex on suing Penn State. But it's very hard to do that because nobody wants to really fight these cases. He's one of the cool lawyers who will. But
Mm-hmm.
so we try to fight back against this stuff. But Penn State has the one of the best legal armies in the world, and so they can fight back against a lot of stuff. And what I think what they've done since then is again, it's kind of like they don't cancel things, but they make our lives harder.
Mm-hmm.
Is they threw us in the basement of the Bryce Jordan Center, which anybody who doesn't know what that is, that's the big arena where concerts, comedians are held,
Mm-hmm.
and they throw us in the basement, so it's like way off on the side of campus. Like it's basically off campus at this, like it's on campus, but it's on like the perimeter on the
Right.
very edge on the border. So nobody like is gonna walk out to that except like the diehard fans,
Yeah.
and so they just make your life harder because it's a student safety is gonna be at risk. it's not gonna be at risk if you guys do your job, but they don't. Like if you play that hype video I was mentioning, it shows you like what it was like that first night before we brought him back. But it was just absolutely crazy what happened. Like that first event that night when all the violence broke down, one of the craziest night of my life so far.
Is that on your YouTube channel anywhere?
Yeah, if you go to the videos and then go to latest, it's going to be the one, if you scroll down, Alex Stein Returns right there.
This
yeah.
guy?
That'll give you guys a sense of what went down.
Yeah, let's take a look real quick.
How to open your car door while
we
submerged
just made you
underwater.
5 cents.
A fatal construction
Probably less
flaw
than
in
that,
all
honestly.
recent automobiles makes it
Skip.
virtually impossible
Was
to
the
escape
plan.
the car after
Skip.
crashing into water.
Controversy over free speech at Penn State University.
Chaos on campus as a fight over free speech gets out of control at Penn State University Monday night. Students rallied against an event featuring Proud Boys founder Gavin McInnes and comedian Alex Stein.
One got so overwrought that she spat at him.
Oh, there it is.
Penn State just sent out a text saying that the event was canceled tonight.
Comedy is no longer allowed at Penn State.
The university said it had to cancel due to demonstrations turning violent. For weeks, students at Penn State had been asking the school to cancel the event.
Shut it down!
I and a bunch of other student leaders called on the university to cancel the event.
The event was organized by Uncensored America.
Uncensored America.
Uncensored America.
Uncensored America.
Uncensored America.
Far-right student organization Uncensored America.
The organization Uncensored America, they're going to give us a platform to do this again. So, I'm not going to stop. It's just, we have about 300 crybabies that want to prevent free speech. But guess what? They are all losers with a capital L.
I will be back. You have not heard the last of Primetime 99. I will be back in old Happy Valley, even though it was Sad Valley last night. Primetime's going to make it Happy Valley again.
So this is Alex Stein.
Yep, and he did eventually come back.
Yep.
I would say the event was...
Yeah.
That's a very well put together video, by the way. Did you cut that yourself?
Thank you. Yeah, I do all the editing for our videos and all that. I started learning in college, and then I love movies. I love editing. I love film, and music, so I love doing stuff like that.
You're like me then, so you never went to any kind of film school or anything, but you just learned it out of an interest kind of thing?
Yeah, when I went to college, I didn't know what the heck I was going to do major-wise. Like, everybody seems to come in with their big plans, like, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be an engineer. And I'm coming in like, I don't know, we'll figure it out, we'll see.
Where's the beer and women?
Yeah, so I had no clue what I was going to do.
Yeah.
I was interested in writing, film, graphic design, so I kind of did all those things. I'm getting a marketing degree, but I took a film class there, but it honestly only taught me stuff that I already knew, like, oh, rule of thirds, this is a jump cut, this is a fade. It's like, okay, yeah, I kind of know that.
Most of that stuff I feel like you can learn on YouTube,
then.
Very cool. We're working on a feature film right now. I might message you some details about it if you're into that sort of thing. So
dude, I'd love to help. I've been learning a lot of recent things. I just got a mirrorless camera, like my first one, and I've been learning everything about aperture, shutter speed, and white balance, and
living my
picture
nightmare.
profile, like all these little things.
All that little goofy crap I was trying to get set right before we went live and did poorly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's
so whenever I see you do that, I'm like, I know the struggle. I know what it's like.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's nice to have somebody that's tried it do it, but it's just you got to repeat it. We do the show once a week, and it's not repetitive enough for me to really learn a whole lot. But it's improved over the past 6 months. But so that's really cool. Yeah, I'll definitely send you some stuff about that. It's like a 1 or 2 year long thing, hopefully closer to 1, but it's quite far along already, and I think you'll at least get a laugh out of reading about it. So if nothing else, but so Alex Stein, very cool. So how do you when you get Milo or Gavin or like how did you connect with those people? Did you just cold call them?
In many cases, yeah. Like I'll be honest with you, it's honestly I just shoot my shot and see what happens. It's funny. If I were to say like the origins, like to really like lay down the origin story here, like how this all started.
Yeah.
At Penn State, you probably know there's a radio station called The Lion. It's the official student radio of Penn State.
I know of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's in the hub there. I started as a radio host there during my sophomore year, and I wanted to do a political talk show. I wanted to just shoot the shit with my friends, and we decide, okay, let's just do a show. And over the summer when we were doing it, we're like, let's bring some guests on. And one of my friends knows that, and I noticed it too, that when Milo joined Telegram at the time, this was back in, I think, 2020. This is like 2019 or 2020, I forget, but it was a while ago. And we saw Milo put his handle in his Telegram account so you could DM him. So we reached out to him and just said, hey, we heard you just dropped all this stuff on Lauren Southern. You want to come talk about it on the show? We'd love to hear more about it. And so we got him on, and he said, yeah, sure. And he connected with me, and we had him on the show and had a lot of fun. And I mentioned that at the time I was a Turning Point president, chapter president at Penn State. And we basically just said, we'd love to host you. He said, I'd love to come. I tried to do it through Turning Point. They said no. And they came up with their reasons as to why.
I mean, what I gotta know. What were the reasons?
I think do you
need to avoid that question for political reasons?
Well, I think I'm trying to remember. So I will just say, like, from what I heard from associates,
sure,
that at first I thought it was because I was told by somebody with associates with Turning Point that they were told that he had this event where he held up a check back in like 2017 or something, where it said something, it made some sort of Jewish joke like, oh, this is for I forget what it said, like something like this amount of money from like for like the richest Jew ever. It's like something like that. I forget what it was. I was first told that, and then I heard stuff that, oh, he would show up drugged up and this and that and blah blah blah. He doesn't show up to speeches, or he'll do this. Like, I heard a bunch of things like in the rumor mill. So I don't know what the real reason was. I can just tell you as a personal guess, this isn't anything official or of any official person, but I have heard just from multiple people that the top brass just doesn't like him. He's too controversial and pisses off donors. And it comes down to that. Like, that's what I hear over and over again, is that these donors or control these organizations, and they're the reasons that you don't see certain people working with them anymore, because they're just too scared to associate with them. I mean, Gavin's a great example. Like, once Proud Boy stuff blew up, it was like, oh, can't touch him, too hot. Whereas we're like, jive right in, like, let's go.
I mean, would you say that the people you're calling the donors are older? Of an older?
Oh, yeah, they're boomers. Yeah, they're boomers and older. I think some of them are just out of touch. I think some of them just don't know what they're talking about or doing. And I know there are cool donors out there. I know there are real people out there that get it. It's just hard to find those people. Some of them are kind of just don't care anymore about stuff or don't want to get involved, and I get that. But from what I understand, like, a lot of the reasons like that these big organizations disassociate is because you piss off the donors, and the donors are what keep these things running.
And that's just,
which I understand. I get, trust me.
That's the way it works. Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Unfortunately, that's the way the whole industry works, really.
Yeah.
But you clearly saw this need not being fulfilled, and instead of going and doing something else, you kind of kept moving forward with Uncensored America to try to make it happen. I mean, I think I look around and see that. I don't want to say starting to happen, because you've been going at it for years too, but I think a lot of guys around our age bracket have been going now for 5 years or more, and there's a lot of youthful energy and interest in not living in a cartoon clown world. So I appreciate your efforts to move us in that direction.
Yeah.
To kind of talk and bring Jack in here a little bit, who's been patiently waiting for a track to explode on. Name that song. Can you do it?
Oh, what song?
That I just referenced?
Oh,
never mind. Never mind. You
thought you were building
go
me
listen
up.
go listen to, what do you listen to? Taylor Swift?
Some metal.
Taylor Swift metal?
No, not Taylor Swift metal.
Britney Spears?
Not really.
I play that video of her dancing with the knives and then put like a little EDM dance track behind it. And I just listen to that on repeat for 24 hours a day.
Nice.
Jack, thank you for joining us. I'll stop messing around.
Yeah.
But kind of for both of you guys, just sort of segueing here, but so you're still in college, right, Jack, I believe?
Yeah,
You
I just
haven't
have
been kicked out yet?
No, not yet. I just have one class left, and I kind of just want to graduate already.
Well, so were you at this event?
I've been at every Uncensored America event on campus, at least at Penn State. I was at the first ever event, I believe, Sean, which was the Milo Yiannopoulos event, Pray the Gay Away event. I was there like in the capacity of like covering it for one of my classes, and like I interviewed people afterwards, and just like from first-hand experience, like I would say that was a great event. Like it went the best the way it could have gone. You were going to have disagreements. People who disagreed did not like the event, sure, but they didn't go in and disrupt it. It was still a functional event. There were protesters, and there was also a counter event too. Love is Louder event, which I believe, Sean, you were aware of.
Oh yeah, we were plenty aware of that one. They did it to give a little more context. Penn State had this idea that I kind of get where they're coming from. They thought they knew this was controversial, they knew this was getting a lot of attention, and they were scared of the protests because they're scared of bad PR all the time. I mean, understandably, Penn State has a history of it, especially recently.
Yep.
So they said, "Ooh, we have a great idea. We'll host a counter event that pulls some of the protesters away, and that will calm things down." So they hosted this pride drag show thing with like people on stage doing whatever they do. Like you can find clips of pride somewhere. And so they hosted in the hub, and they tried to go like the president of the university was at it. I think the college Republicans were at it too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, I checked it out briefly just to like cover it. I interviewed people from there too, and you found like a bunch of people there. There's a long line just waiting to get into the auditorium.
Well, I'm kind of but I'm kind of curious. I think my question is, so I'm in my mid-30s, and I think people my age and older are genuinely really curious. Like, what is the world like in your college-aged, roughly, world? Like these like, do most college students are like when I was in college, they were mostly liberal, by quite a bit.
I would say politically, everyone is. The majority is disinterested. Like they're prioritized with classes. They're prioritized with like living the stereotypical college life, drinking, partying, etc. Like, and when they're primarily focused on classes as well. And you know how most college kids are. They're idealistic. They have their head in the clouds. They don't really. When they focus on like news and stuff, they usually have a sort of not.
Sorry about that.
Not in depth, like sort of view of it. Not very nuanced.
Well, I mean, so let me say this here. So when I was in college, most people were liberal, though I would agree they didn't really give a shit. This was when Obama was coming around for the first time, though, and there was this sort of wave of, we were all doing the right thing by completing the great adventure of human rights and equality by voting for Obama. And so nobody cares, but I mean, do you think a lot of them don't actually even vote?
That's a good question. I would say
there's probably a way we can look that up.
Yeah, there probably is. But for Penn Staters, I would say most of them are too lazy to even get out of bed to even bother showing up to the ballot box.
Which is because you get this feel from the older, like that the world is ending, World War III is about to start, everything's falling apart, which I don't honestly totally disagree with. But then you're saying these college kids are sort of oblivious.
Yeah, and
which
I would say
I would say you're there.
Yeah, I would say the majority of the time when college kids actually graduate, that's when they start getting real world life experience.
You get your first paycheck with your goddamn taxes taken out of it. That's usually a pretty good one.
That's right. Yeah, and that's sort of what I admire about Sean and Uncensored America. It's pretty much like capitalism, like a incarnate, it's an indie startup story. Like he saw an audience for certain speakers, and he capitalized off of that. And there's something to really admire about that.
Yeah, I mean, so do you, Sean? Do you have any upcoming stuff to tell us about, to put on our radar, to check out, or?
Yeah, and I'll actually answer that question too, because I think it's interesting looking at younger people and seeing where their heads are at politically and culturally. But in terms of our stuff we have coming up, On Monday, so tomorrow, if you're watching this live tomorrow, Monday, I'm gonna have the full Alex Stein and Dontarius event from South Carolina that we just did last week. Upload to our YouTube channel in crispy, nice 4K. So you can check out for that. Yeah, that event right there, the Alex and Dontarius event. So, and that was a fun time. If you love Alex Stein, it's great. He's really good at stand up too. Like he is so good. I can't wait to see where he's at in a few years because he just keeps growing and growing and evolving and getting even better. But that'll be coming up, and then we're gonna just be uploading a lot of clips and stuff. So if you want to like get a little taste of our stuff, we're gonna be uploading more shorts if you're into shorts and TikToks like that over the summer. And then in the fall, when we're in election season, we're gonna have a bunch of events coming up that can't talk about yet because a lot of them are still to be determined, not set in stone yet. But there's gonna be a lot of stuff coming up. So if you follow us on any of our socials, you can you'll be able to see what we have coming up, and we'll announce it right there for everybody to see.
There it is. I thought I
But
had your
in terms of young people in college and how they feel about things, I think it's very interesting because I think it's as somebody who was that age, who I am a Gen Zer. I'm 26 years old. I was born 97, so I'm like one of those older Zoomers, one of the first batch that came out. It's just been very interesting seeing our generation, especially like through the context of being in it in college and being out of it from out of college, and seeing how it's changed over the past few years. I'd say during 2016 was probably one of the most politically active times this country has ever been in for a long time. I'd say since Reagan or Kennedy or maybe the war on terror, I guess you could say. But in terms of an election cycle or over a candidate, there's been nothing like it. And I knew it at the time. I love that time. Like, it was a very amazing time and shaped who I am today. But Trump is one of the most consequential figures in American history. It's just not even up for debate. It's so obvious. Like, he's a once in a generation talent. There's nobody else like him. Like, people kept thinking like, oh, maybe DeSantis might beat him. I'm over here like, no, he's not. This dude is wearing heels and can barely talk with any sort of like sense of color or charisma or anything. And Trump is just like this amazing talent. So like that sort of kicked things off. And I think people in my generation, millennials, especially with Gamergate too. Like I can't forget that. Like Gamergate's like what really got a lot of people who just didn't care about this stuff to care because it started affecting them. Like that's when everybody starts to care about something.
I hate to say, I think a lot of my viewers might not even know what that is. Not that you need to explain it, but just to check out Gamergate if you don't know what it is. Sorry, keep going.
No, it's fine. I get what you mean by that because like that's what I was trying to explain Milo because I'm learning that a lot of these newer Zoomers have no clue who he is. They don't know who Milo is. They kind of know Gavin because they hear Proud Boys and then the dots get connected. But it's amazing like how quick, like how much things have moved so quickly. But Gamergate, big thing. Like Red Pill, a lot of people on the media, gaming, and the gaming industry and all these other things going on. And it's where you heard the term SJW really start, which we now say is woke, I guess.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So I noticed like people getting very active during that time. And then the COVID pandemic just sort of like shut everything down. Like, all the energy and so many things just got shut down. And then I would say since then, like there are little issues like abortion that get people fired up. They're young, especially women. Abortion will fire people up. But for the most part, I noticed that at Penn State, most people do not care. I'd say the overwhelming percentage would be like 90%, 80% maybe, just do not care. I don't think that many of them vote. I think the turnout's been increasing as people are getting more interested in stuff, especially with these midterms when the Democrats push abortion. And Trump got a lot of young people out. But I think other than that, like people don't care. And it's kind of weird because as I've gotten older, I kind of get more involved with this, but I kind of care less, or I don't want to get more involved with it. It's
I know
a weird
what you mean.
feeling.
Yeah.
Because yeah, like we were talking about before, like how you were too, like for the past couple years. Like I get that. Like I don't want to have to do this. I enjoy it. I love it. But I feel like I need to do it more than I want to do it. Because if I had it my way, like I'd just be, if I had like a bajillion dollars and nothing to worry about, I'd just be writing music all day, playing guitar, playing piano, singing, and like making movies or something. I I don't want to have to do this, but I have to. I feel like I have to do something.
I know
So that's
exactly,
really where
what
I'm
you
at.
mean. Coming from the same place, honestly, I'd love to be doing that stuff instead, but you feel like there should be someone out there doing this, and there's not. And you're like, well, holy shit, I guess I'll do it then. But yeah,
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean, and how tiring it can be and all of that.
Yeah, I feel the same way as a chapter president for my political organizations I've been a part of. It just feels as though what if you try to push something onto campus, it becomes clear that you're not going to make the impact that you thought you were, and people will try to get in your way so that the impact that you were going to make is lessened. It's blackpilling, honestly.
It's a little, I'll use the word interesting, but even I am too young to be talking the way you guys are talking historically, and yet I understand exactly why you are. Is there a sense that there's no hope for the future amongst your generation? Is that it's kind of like, well, why would I give a shit when it's all burning down? Is it at that level, or is it just normal college not giving a shit because they'd rather have fun?
I think it's a mix of both, honestly. There are people who, I mean, I wasn't a big party or anything. I didn't even drink in college or anything, but I know a lot of people just want to have fun with their friends. I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all. It's a great time. So your last chance of freedom, really, before you hit the real world.
Like when I was coming up through high school, like if you went inside, they would tell you, you can be anything you want to be. The world is your oyster. Do they still tell you guys that stuff, or they tell you and everyone's no, I can't, or what? How does that go down?
It's kind of weird. I think in like elementary, high school, middle school, I was told those things. In college, kind of. I think a lot. I just maybe from the adults, they sometimes say that. I can't even remember off the top of my head when somebody would ever say that. But amongst us Zoomers and the Gen Alpha coming in, we are a generation of just nihilistic, individualistic, godless, just degeneracy. I know that's going to kind of sound really prudish to a lot of people, but as somebody who, I'm a very, I would say I've grown more socially conservative. I've always been very socially conservative. I've grown even more. I've even started going to church, with something I never thought I'd ever do before. I think a lot of people, though, are realizing that that's the way we are, and they're returning to a form of order, tradition, which comes from the church, which comes from Christianity. It doesn't come from the government, it doesn't come from science or, any of these other things are thrown at us. But our generation is really screwed up mentally and really screwed up socially, economically, politically. Like everything is so it then feels very nihilistic. Like it does feel like nothing matters, and you're told that we're just pond scum, we're just just two atoms that just hit together, and we're just dust floating in the universe. Like you're told all these things all the time. You're told that the world's going to end in 2040 by climate change, and so you're just floating around like, okay, I'm in college. There's beer, there's porn I could watch, there's chicks I could bang. Like it doesn't matter. Like drink your life away, bang as many girls as you want, watch porn on the weekends when you're not getting laid or something. And eat all the junk food you can, and vape and smoke weed, man. Like this is what our generation is, and I if I'm offending anybody, good, because you need to hear this, because I see this in so many people, this sort of deadness in their eyes after like they've been through all this stuff, this sort of like hedonistic lifestyle, and I don't blame you. I get it. Like the temptation's there, the world sucks, and everything feels meaningless. This is the result of it. But at the end of the day, I think what's very white pilling is that people come out of it realizing, no, there is meaning. I do feel something. Stuff does matter. I get up out of my bed every day to do stuff because it does matter. Actually, I want to have kids. Wait, I'm 30 and childless. This is not good. This feels wrong. I don't actually want to be a girl boss. And just like slave away in some corporate cube under some fluorescent lighting for decades. For what? No kids, no husband, no love, no joy. And so I think people in my generation are very, very slowly realizing this. And so they're realizing I should get married, I should have kids, I should quit porn, I should quit drugs, I should even quit alcohol. Some go as far as not drink at all. And I should quit porn, I should quit all these degenerate vices, go to church, and see and find joy in life and reject pleasure. I think some are getting there, but it's nowhere near enough. But I think there's like this tiny
Well, I
little
think
group
it's
that's getting there.
it's a silver lining. So you hear people, I mean, they might be living degenerate lives and totally failing at improving themselves, but they're expressing an interest in doing so, you're saying. Like that's a fairly common thing you hear from college kids is like, this ain't right.
I think, see, this is something like I think maybe Jack might have better insight on this because he's in college or is more in
Yeah.
Penn State right now than
Yeah.
I am. But I think from what I've seen amongst Zoomers, there's a growing interest in faith in something higher or in something greater because we're addicted to these things all the time. We're addicted to our screens. And I think there's this, I think the vast majority are still like, drones, like NPCs addicted to the screen. And not seeing the bigger picture here. But I think there is this small group. I think it's very, very small, but it's maybe like 5% of our generation that is seeing, and you see a lot in the new right and a lot of these sort of like Zoomers that are coming up, and you'll see it on X, people talk about it a lot. They are having a greater interest in something greater. They're seeing it, and some are actually acting upon it and then trying to get others to as well. Like I'll give you a very simple example, dating. Yeah, yikes. It's bad out there. It's tough out there for a boy, let me tell you. It's real rough. But a lot of us think, oh, we can do this online dating, this swiping on Tinder. That's where we're going to find our girls. You realize it doesn't work, and then you kind of build a confidence to talk to girls in the real world, and you realize, wait a second, this is easy. Like I feel confident. I feel like a Chad, and then you actually do talk to people, and you mingle more and socialize, and you're less on your screen. So I think that's kind of how things happen, is that you realize these things aren't working, you actually try something else, or somebody kicks you out of it. So I know this is kind of like going on a long rambling rant here, but it is like your question of like, do people care about politics is actually touching on something much bigger, what's going on in our generation.
Yeah, it's kind of, I think, yeah, like what I sense the nihilism and all that, but since you suggest, I think it's a good suggestion, Jack, you're there.
Yeah, I agree with everything Sean said. I definitely think that a lot of people are dissatisfied with what they have, and they try to cope with that by just trying to sate their like whatever base desires they have, just with like alcohol, like online dating, or like Tinder, stuff like that. And they're realizing that materialism like that isn't really satisfying, so they look for like higher meaning, like more abstract ideas, and like a virtue ethics. That's a very that's a very like philosophically ground idea of just like helping your neighbors, like your fellow man, that I've seen a lot of like-minded people like myself have been going towards.
You talking about like Aristotle?
Yeah, like Aristotle.
Okay.
Even like a more like atheistic, like secular friends of mine have like found found those sorts of ideas appealing, like when Thomas Aquinas started promoting them. But at the same time, I would say that even though people acknowledge that things aren't really getting better, they don't want to be the ones to necessarily point that out or to like try to make things better, and that can make things like very frustrating.
Tallest blade of grass is first to get cut, sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's as though like they need a small push to like get them going on that direction.
Yeah, like outside, it's kind of this NPC thing, the meme. There seems to be quite a large group of a proportion of the population that awaits instructions before it will ever do anything. It's just sitting there waiting for input. And then, yeah, maybe like 5% or something, that sounds fairly accurate, are running around and giving the input.
Right.
But then...
Yeah, and something I'll say too that I've noticed is that you don't need everybody to jump on board at first. Like it's usually the radicals that bring change in the world. It takes a small group of radicals to influence everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, that's been studied. There's an
action.
actual known proportion, I believe, that like it's, you get 10% or something, and then they can influence the entire 100%.
Right.
Exactly. And it just takes this small group of like radical, passionate, motivated individuals to really give the instructions, push about some change, and then you have a movement. Like I think you're going to see it's going to take a bit, and it's really hard because all these vices, these hedonistic lifestyle, these degenerate choices are very tempting, very easily accessible, and feel very pleasurable. So I think, a lot of people are stuck in that now, and I think some will eventually get burned out and not feel satisfied, and they're either going to go even deeper into it, or they're going to have a radical reaction and go towards tradition and normalcy, because we're told all the time that all these vices are actually good for you, Weed actually cures cancer. Porn is actually good for your marriage. Masturbating is actually good for your health. Like you see all these things, and in the back of your head, you're like, that doesn't make any sense, does it? But you follow along with it because the science says so, and then the study gets debunked like 5 years later.
Well, yeah, now everyone around you is doing it now, and so that is pretty much, it's gotten real damn hard to fight against that.
Right.
You almost have to be autistic.
I can't tell you how many people I know personally who are addicted to just masturbation or porn alone. Like, I remember growing up thinking like that those were just these weird things on the internet. Like pornography was just this weird thing on the internet. I never was addicted to it. We've all seen it. Like obviously we've all checked it out a few times, but it's like one of those things that I thought, not most people, no way. And then I see all these polls come out that's like 80% of men report watching porn in the last week or something like that, or the last month or something. Yeah. I'm like, that's insane. That's insane. And so that's when you have a problem, is like when you see stuff like that. And I use porn as an example, but you can go to other things.
No, yeah, I get exactly what you're saying.
Alone.
Here's a question for you, maybe a bit too personal of one. You don't have to answer it. But so you were one of these people who did not need someone outside of you to tell you differently. You told yourself and took action. What do you, and like at risk of, you sounding like a narcissist, you're not. I'm genuinely asking, like, do you have any insights into what makes you different? And is there a way that you could teach that to spread it? Yeah. Genuinely curious.
No, that's a very, very good question, because I think I always try to humble myself. I don't want to think I'm better than anybody, or they're like, I was the one that figured it out on my own, because I don't think I did. I can tell you that I think just genetically, like the way I was born out, and the way I was raised, I had a lucky start. Some people don't have that. A lot of people don't have that, actually. Like I just had a lucky start. I've never been tempted to a lot of vices that some people are, and I don't even know if I really have a type of personality or like a makeup that can be prone to addiction. I have a friend who had an alcoholic dad so he's very prone to addiction. Like, and I think for me, like with even alcohol, I haven't even drank a sip of alcohol. And I think it's because my uncle passed away when I was in middle school. And so I think that was kind of like the final nail in the coffin for me. Because I was kind of like thinking, like, yeah, maybe I'll try. It's normal. Everybody does it. And like I'd see some like famous people that I look up to that have suffered from it. And I'm like, maybe it's a little dangerous, more so than I thought. And then once my uncle passed away, I was like, okay, I don't even want to touch it. That's just me. I don't care if people drink. Like drinking, I think of all these things is like the least worst thing. But I think for the other stuff, I think the worst thing I have is screen addiction, honestly. Like that's something I catch myself, like when I come home from work, I'm just scrolling through crap, and then an hour or two passes, I'm like, I didn't accomplish anything.
Yeah, right.
Just mindless scrolling.
That's actually why I don't, I tell people I never watch content, but I stay away from it for, like, sorry, I haven't watched all your videos. I just say that it's because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. Like people, it's very easy to get addicted to this stuff. Especially TikTok. Like I don't have it on my phone because I'm too scared to use it. I'll upload our content in there because it's a great way to reach people. And hopefully
you'll deal the drugs, and you just won't use them.
Yeah.
But that feels dirty. Like I struggle. I honestly struggle with that myself. Is like I'm very aware of a lot of videos I could make that would make very good money, and I don't make them because I don't sell drugs, so I don't know. But that's...
No, and I get that. And I kind of honestly, like, even myself, I'm like, I don't even know if I should be uploading on TikTok. But I do kind of question it myself. But my point being is that...
Yeah.
Sorry?
I was to say, like, so it's a combination of just the way you are by your nature, and then having had some life experiences and observations that maybe allowed you to dodge making mistakes that other people you knew had made, in a sense, for you already, so that you were able to learn from that.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm also never the type to really like cave to peer pressure amongst my friends, unless it's something like, "Hey, Sean, you should talk to this girl."
Well,
Like,
I
then
mean,
I'm
so
like,
again, the word autistic is getting thrown around a ton now, and Asperger, and sometimes in a positive way. I definitely have a degree of that, and I think that's why when there can be 100 people coming to a consensus in a room, I'm the dude who's like, nope, yeah, you need to go get 99 more people. You don't have enough because I'm saying no. It's.
yeah, maybe it's just autism then. Like, maybe
I mean,
that's
I
what
don't
it
know.
is,
Sometimes you want to take credit for it and feel special. Sometimes you're just like, am I just a contrarian? Like, do I have the role in the society of breaking consensus? Does the species spit out consensus breakers to keep it functional? I don't know. You can go down as deep a rabbit hole as you want, but I just find it extremely interesting that people like the three of us who are very, very different in a lot of ways, and yet we all seem to be nodding when we talk about there does seem to be that small percentage that just really doesn't need anyone else to tell them in order to take action. And of that small 5%, which I think is everybody that does anything meaningful in the world, they're not a monolith. Some are psychopathic assholes, and some are altruistic, Jesus types who don't want anything. So we're all motivated by different stuff. I'm not looking for a right answer. So thank you for answering honestly. I don't know what the answer is, but people being honest about that kind of thing, we might find the answer. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and I just want to add, because I think it's important, and it's the last thing I'll say, is that I want to make clear that like it didn't all come from just like me figuring it out. I think I did have a lot of influence too, much more recently in life, from people like I'd even cite people like Milo, somebody who helped me get interested in the Catholic faith, or friends, because I think COVID for a lot of us was a like new world. We sort of came out from it, and after COVID, like it really changed my view on a lot of things. I became much more open-minded and way more open to things I wasn't before. So I want to say like that the life experiences and other people in my life have influenced me on that. And also there's a professor at Penn State named Sam Richards, who is a great guy, who I took one of his classes because I thought, like, you see clips of him going around, you think he's this woke socialist, like radical professor. Then you actually listen to it, and he's actually a lot more nuanced and interesting than you'd think.
TPOSA on the...
And he had his class on near-death experiences. And that's where my faith journey really started, because it blew my mind. It like absolutely shattered my mind. I didn't even know I never knew what a near-death experience was, so I heard that. And then when you said that how it didn't matter like who these people were, what religions or cultures they're from, they all had similar experiences.
Patterns.
Blew my mind. Just blew my mind. And ever since then, like I just haven't been the same. So I just want to make clear that I too have been influenced by other people. I've heard other people too. That's just how the world works. So we all are influencing each other in some way.
For what it's worth, I was understanding you meant that without saying it. I wasn't sitting here thinking you were being an asshole.
Yeah,
I didn't think that for
no,
1 second.
I just want to make clear for the people watching. Yeah, it's a lot, and I know you get it. And it's
what's funny is I see
it's something that I think comes with age.
Well, you're doing something I do myself a lot, which is you feel the need to explain yourself to the audience, because in this field you do sort of get blackpilled on what the average intelligence might be, and you start subconsciously simplifying the way you say shit. I try not to do on it. Like, so I'm with you. I would humbly, as a newish friendish person, you don't need to explain yourself. Moneyball, right? You know, people. I think they get what you're saying. I do anyway. So but then I'll turn around and be a hypocrite and explain myself, probably on this very show before it ends again. So what are you gonna do? But I'm with you. Yeah, of course we're all influenced by people, famous and not famous, and I'm sure there's some younger kids sitting out there that will mention your name in that way, and Jack's as well. I will probably be. I'm trying to be the heel. I want to be the bad guy. I want to be the enemy you all defeat to start a new world.
The final boss.
No. So we're out just in our unprofessional program here. It's 2:51, usually around 3, which I'd say we're there, and we've reached a lull in the conversation. We take about a 10-minute break, so my ass can go smoke a cigarette, because I am jonesing. And then we'll come back in 10 minutes and do another hour, and the plan for today was just kind of talk about major news and events. Jack, I was assuming you were going to hang out for that.
Yeah, I'll hang out for
Would
that.
you like to hang out and do that with us? If you got things to do, you will not hurt my feelings.
Sure. Yeah, I should be over there for most of it, and then I get to go to mass at 5 o'clock.
Right on. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw up this screen and turn off the mics, and you're going to be left in Zoom limbo here for about 10 minutes. So 3 o'clock, we'll say. What time? 3 o'clock, I'll be back and boot it back up.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Normally, you don't see these conversations live on the air.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I like about it. It's the charm. So we will be back in 10 short minutes talking about the news. We'll see you then.
First time. First time.
Who's the guy on the right? Which one of you is it? Which one of you is that? Gorillas absolutely destroy trees. You cannot have trees around them. They'll just pull them right out of the ground. All right, let's say hello to the chat. Maybe. This one? Nice. Need some labels for my buttons. JL loves the devil's lettuce, but it is a motivation killer. Country Girl 007. I'm the cool old guy. Oh my God. Don't say that. My kid's future. I had a sort of epiphany Friday when I thought, if I can't quit something like cigarettes, how will I stand in the day of the Lord? That is an epiphany, for sure. I wish you hadn't said that. Now I just had it too. Shin Lona, why no Odyssey stream? We could have memes right now. I could look into that. We're already on a number of platforms, but I'll take a look. We could add it to Odyssey. Daniel Ominous, thanks for joining. Jazz Cabbage prefers Jazz Cabbage over the devil's lettuce. Plick, welcome back. Decriminalize and I'll switch. John Otter, I'm going to skip that one, you madman. Jones Knit always said that when our state decriminalizes, I will quit smoking cigarettes. David Oler King II, welcome back. It is indeed you. I like the side conversations that happen in here. I almost read them sometimes by accident and catch myself just in time. Lord of the Ree on Rumble. Rumble Rants, welcome back, Lord of the Ree. Laughing Dog, saw you earlier, but welcome back. I think that's what Adam was doing when God sent him Eve. Damien Gorilla Grip Gershwin, welcome back. Headaches noticeable, bad changes in my skin, lethargy, I basically can't do it. Oh man, alright, so there we go. I just called myself out on that. Jack Dawes, hello. John Otter with the memes. Uncensored America. Oh, is that you? Are you?
Me? Yeah.
No, it's that's great, man. He's laughing here. We'll get back up on the screen. We're gonna be talking some news and stuff like that. Someday I will remember from the previous week that I've never added the music transition. After 10 episodes, I still just gotta go. No more music. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us again, our special guest today, we have Jack Kentner. Welcome back. We have yet to brand you properly, but you'll brand yourself in some way. You'll
in due time.
Some madman name. And Sean, founder of Uncensored America, and I think I forgot to add you, so I have your Twitter handle and your website there on this screen. So thank you again,
Thank you.
Sean, for joining us. Excellent first half of the show. Can't wait to rewatch it. Right after the show, I go back and watch it again. Oh, something popped up fun again. This is always the, because I'm chatting with you. All right, so bang, bang. We're back. We're back with the news. And Jack, you had a starting point for us, I believe I heard you say.
Yeah. So in the first half, we ended on discussing like college students and what they like, what their priorities are, which is a lot of the time just caving into their base impulses and looking for anything to fill that void. And I would like to tie this back to Uncensored America and how counter protesters sort of do that with their addiction of seemingly always enjoying to be perpetually outraged, right? Because as you were saying before, Sean, like they didn't even have any idea who Alex Stein was, and they still protested him anyway. I remember like in one interview of the college Dem president, at Penn State, he didn't even get his name right. It was he called him Michael Stein, and and for Gavin, like even though like he has a controversial past as the Proud Boys president. Like that's not what he is now. Like he's more so a comedian of sorts. Like he frequently goes on like does comedy sketches or like comedy skits with Anthony Cumia, right? And that's all well and good. Like at Penn State, like Theo Vaughn, Bill Burr, I would say their brand of comedy and Gavin's brand of comedy are no different. So I don't see why they should be protested at all. But you just have these students who don't know any better, and they're just addicted to being activists in their minds.
Is this this is a little bit of a longer one than what we watched before, I think, isn't it? But this looks similar.
Yeah.
Oh, this was okay. These are the links you sent me.
Oh yeah.
Was there a particular one to start on that we?
Just at the start, and it's like it was just them covering the event.
Right now we are at the protest, and we were just told by the school that it was officially canceled. They canceled the Proud Boy event because of what all the protesters have been doing, and probably the events leading up to the cancellation. Personally, as some of the Proud Boys were walking up, some of them threatened to try and fight a group of students and ended up pepper spraying not only protesters but innocent bystanders who were simply photographers, and a lot of people got hurt.
Proud Boys threatening to fight me and my friends. I've witnessed police doing nothing to stop them from pepper spraying and trying to help the students here. I've witnessed absolute chaos with the cops and just like people protesting for the past hour and a half.
So I showed up a little later to the action. I know protests had started very early, but I came here at about 7, and the first thing I saw was cops and everybody moving down towards Huck Life Sciences and Thomas. The protests had spread far beyond Thomas by that point, so it was all flowing into the Science Quad and around the Science Quad and everything, and people were just trying to get it under control. Many people, masked up. They were taking people's stuff and everything. And I mean, things were getting out of hand very quick. Like, something had to be done about it.
I've witnessed Proud Boys pepper spray, peaceful protesters, a Proud Boy trying to fight me and my friends. From the cops, the cops stood there, the cops were smiling, they were laughing. They had zero interest in really making a difference and making a change and protecting the students. That was the biggest thing. The cops were not here to protect us. The cops were here to protect the Proud Boys.
Because they would rather have Gavin McInnes than us here Penn State students protesting.
Yeah, that's pretty much
sorry.
But yeah, that goes to show that Sean and the counter protesters.
Do you love Gavin McInnes more than you love me, Penn State? What do they think they're talking to their mom?
Yeah, but that just goes to show that Sean and the counter protesters agree that the security were not doing their job at those events.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Hey, that's the one thing we agreed on.
Yeah.
You see, again, they're always like, the Proud Boys trying to fight me. The Proud Boys were gonna beat me up. The Proud Boys pepper sprayed the crowd.
Remarkably hilarious. That guy at the end. Penn State would rather have like as if that's even remotely an accurate reflection of what's happening.
Right.
Yeah, nobody gives a shit, and you don't even need to be here. This could have all happened without you, and no one would have cared.
That's the funniest thing is they had this saying that they started during the Milo event. Is admin and clan go hand in hand.
It took me a second. It's like, what? Oh, fuck, okay.
They literally think the Penn State admin is in cahoots with the Nazis, the Klan, all these racists, the Proud Boys. What planet do they live on? Penn State admin is always just worried about PR, money, and they're left. They're all lefties. Like, right. I don't get where they get these ideas from. Like, they're your guys. They're not our guys, or right. Their guys, or anybody else guys. They're yours.
Yeah, it's
yours.
By definition of systemic, the word systemic, there is definitely systemic oppression going on. It's built in. It's not against the left.
Right.
Of course.
But it's like I said.
And you know, it's...
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sean.
No, you can go, Jack. Sorry.
Okay.
You guys are so nice.
But yeah, it's like I was saying before. Like, these people aren't really politics junkies are more so just junkies to being perpetually offended all the time. Like at the second Uncensored America event, at Penn State, the debate between Elijah Schaefer and Destiny, that was over Ukraine, and that was more of an intellectual discussion instead of a comedy event, and none of the outrage we saw from either Milo or Alex and Gavin's event emerged because there was nothing to be offended over, really. And that just goes to show that these people aren't really that they don't really pay attention to anything that isn't just what they're told to be offended by.
Yeah, and it's a comedy show that they shut down, that they got Penn State to shut down. They act like this is some freaking Hitler Youth speech.
Yeah.
It's a comedy show. Gavin is married to a Native American, so he's technically in an interracial marriage. And they're just so dense, these people. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know anything about me. They don't know anything about our organization. And they just come up with these goofy ideas. It just shows you that they just are easily programmed to believe whatever the people in charge want them to believe. And what's crazy too, I'll add a little more lore to this, that when they talk about the admin, when this all went down, the VP of Student Affairs, Damon Sims, spoke at that class I was mentioning, Sam Richards' class, about free speech, about this event, and you had all these people in the audience that were like, well, but what about hate speech? Oh, well, what about And it showed they don't know anything about free speech. And he was telling them we can't shut down. We're a public university. We have to abide by the First Amendment of the Constitution, and free speech allows for hate speech, and blah blah blah. Class was just in shock. I can't believe this. And even the professor was defending free speech correctly on everything. And then guess what happens a few months later? VP of Student Affairs Damon Sims fired by the university.
For what reason did they give?
I wonder why. He's been there for 10, 20 years or how long he's been there. All of a sudden, after this event, after speaking out for free speech and saying things that were all true, so all of a sudden he gets fired.
Well, I was just reading today, shades of that, how Biden stopped in that Sheets. Surely you're familiar with Sheets and, yeah.
Yeah, nobody
cared. Wallow's better.
Guess who just got hit with a mega discrimination lawsuit against minorities? Sheets.
Oh, no.
Really?
Right after that video came out.
That's crazy.
Now being sued. And here's the discrimination. You'll laugh at this. They've discriminated against racial minorities, and here's how they did it. They have a background check for when you try to get hired. And if you fail it, you don't get hired. Well, that created racial disparities because white people, I think, were failing at 8% and other races were failing at 13%. And so literally the Biden DOJ is suing Sheets for being racist because Sheets does a background check and that flags more non-white people than white people. But it's just did you commit a fucking crime? So now Biden's if someone says yes to that and they're not white, you better hire them, Sheets. It's fucking crazy.
It reminds me of back when people were protesting Starbucks because they had a bathroom policy of because they didn't want to allow homeless people sleeping in their bathroom stalls. It was they only reserved it for customers. But then two individuals who happened to be black, they were just chilling at the Starbucks, not buying anything. And then when they asked to use the bathroom, they were denied entry because they weren't customers.
Right.
And people said that was discrimination when it wasn't. It's just company policy.
If you've learned a trick that gets you what you want and you start using that trick relentlessly, that's actually a rational person. So at some degree, I don't really blame the people. I'm not like that and I wouldn't do that, but I kind of understand where they're coming from. There's no enforcement though. So I don't know what the answer to that is. I don't know. Is it just got to be a 20-year long slog? Do we need to be 50 years old and take charge of things before any of this will change? I mean, what are your honest thoughts, either of you? You're already tired, Sean.
Well, I was going to say that
Me too,
regard
man.
to the bathroom thing, that I work as a bartender, and like we get people that just walk in all the time that they're just like, hey, can I use the bathroom? And we're nice enough to say yes, but some of these people come in like reeking of all kinds of substances, and we're like,
well, yeah, until you've
yeah,
worked in one of
no,
the. So,
you need to-
what's the big deal? Let them use the bathroom. It's like, have you worked? You don't understand the kind of people trying to come in there and use the bathroom. There's a reason you have policies like that, especially in cities and
especially
shit.
when it's kids. Like they'll
Yeah.
come in and we found poop on the ceiling like so many times. I don't know how they do it,
So,
but
like
and then
shit you
somebody's
wouldn't
gotta clean
believe.
it
Yeah,
up.
but that fucking it's crazy how you know, I fucking was a kid once and worked in restaurants and stuff, and like the shit people do. You're just like, how? Like quit. Somebody came to McDonald's and was like, how do I shit on the ceiling?
Yeah.
Like I have one mission in this McDonald's and it's my shit on that ceiling somehow. It's like
yeah.
That's what so these
Yeah.
policies are reasonable, frankly, but
right.
Yeah, and then like to your point, you know, you're not even a customer.
Yeah.
I kind of think I just want to go walk into neighborhoods and just walk into people's houses and be like, sorry man, I gotta take a shit.
But yeah, this is obviously
I have to.
Yeah, this is obviously a BS case from the DOJ, and they're no stranger to being like to showing that they're politically partisan.
Right.
I remember they also sued SpaceX for not like hiring illegal citizens or something.
So fucking
yeah.
Well, so somewhat segueing into the global picture as a whole, clown world, as I like to call it anyway, but a lot of stuff has happened recently that's in my opinion entertaining, maybe is the wrong word, but let me pull this up here.
Spices things up a bit. Box.
Oh, I had this list here. Hang tight. No, I always pull up the wrong one. This one. Yep. Okay. Yes. So the main one is, of course, Speaker Johnson and the 70 trillion million infinity dollars to everywhere but the United States, and waving the Ukrainian flags and all things like that. So this is maybe somewhat relevant to what we're talking about. So my understanding of this is, and you guys may know better than me, so stop me if I say things that are ridiculous, but Johnson was actually like a pretty respected, predictable right-wing guy up until he got this role. They dragged him into the skiff or whatever they call it, the little intelligence thing, and he came out of that basically a Democrat. And now you have all.
No, he came out of it more informed, and he's a changed man.
Well, like, I mean, number one, did he go in there and they blackmailed him, or is there actually aliens invading us? And you know, I mean, obviously not, but it's like, and now here we are. It's just, I don't know. I don't have any words for this. I mean, you both seem calm, which is a good reaction, but like, how? Is it just too beyond? It's out of your control. So who gives us like nothing I can do about it?
I mean, ultimately, when the Freedom Caucus in the House originally ousted Kevin McCarthy, they were really, it was more so a punishment to McCarthy rather than having like a suitable replacement, because they're making a point. And I would say the majority of people weren't really knowledgeable of Mike Johnson. Like they didn't really know about him. They saw an R next to his name and said, "Hey, yeah, like how about this guy? Let's sell on this guy. He'd probably be a good fit." But as time went on, we saw that he's not. He may be a bit better than McCarthy in some areas, but largely speaking, he's sort of the same. And I remember there was this one Twitter video that's circulating now back in 2020 where he said certain things that Democrats would say, such as like white privilege being real and how like a systemic change is needed or something like that in 2020. And that sort of line was was apparent from a lot of Dems and a lot of rhinos who like were trying to pay lip service to the George Floyd rioters that we saw during the Summer of Love, as people jokingly call it. And yeah, I would just say that it's nothing unexpected from Mike Johnson because we largely didn't know too much about him, and it's just because the goal was to get McCarthy out of there from the speaker role.
Let me ask, in your wisdom, and I'm not making fun of you by saying that, genuinely, why can't we get a good speaker? From where you're sitting, what is the answer to that?
It takes too much time, I guess. It takes too much long-term planning, and that's frankly something we didn't have. Personally, I would have liked to see Byron Donalds take the position in hindsight, because I know he was an option, but
is the party disorganized at that level that there's...
It definitely is. Like, they're different, there's a plurality of opinions and views, and they can't work together for whatever reason.
That's what I mean.
And contrast that with the Dems, they can get their shit together. Frankly, like if they have radicals, they downplay them. If a certain member says something out of line, they downplay it, and that isn't what happens. And like for the Republicans, if there's someone like who treads off the off the line, they get smeared, etc.
The left protects its own,
yeah,
and the right does not. It seems like it does. What I have trouble understanding somewhat on a psychological level is it does seem like the average leftist is much more unstable as an individual.
Definitely.
And yet somehow the leftists are able to form these cohesive groups that do things, and the right can't do it. So why does
the leftists?
Yeah.
They tend to have more passion, you know.
Well, yeah. I mean, so maybe the ability to work together is they have this superpower of being able to hold multiple conflicting ideas at the same time and not see a problem with it. So you can, like, they all disagree with each other, but they're working together because they don't see it that way, I guess. I don't know. And we definitely...
Well, I give some
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. It's such a slight delay. It just kills everything.
I know. We haven't figured out a way around that yet, but we're working on it.
Yeah, but I know I'll give some insight from my campaign experience that I think kind of can answer that question. Well, in terms of the Mike Johnson thing, like, we got to remember, first of all, he wasn't even the first choice. It was Jim Jordan was going to be first choice as a replacement.
That's right.
Which would have been great and sensible, but the stupid party decided against that because there's so many factions within the Republican Party that just don't agree. And I love people like Matt Gaetz, Margie Taylor Greene, Paul Gosar, and Andrew Clyde, people like that. Those are my type of people, and they're the sensible ones. They get what needs to be done, and even though they have their disagreements on stuff, like, they're all generally in the same direction. But most of the party is still controlled and run by neocons and neolibs who don't care about the country, who don't care about things that people really care about. And it takes a slow generational process to drain the swamp and replace all these people. And we're seeing more and more, which is great. I mean, when Trump came in, I mean, that's why he couldn't get anything done with Congress, was because they were all against him except a handful of them. But I've noticed, like, the more I talk to both sides, because I do try to genuinely understand anybody and everyone and where they come from and why they do what they do. But I've served on the 2016 campaign as a volunteer and then the 2021 for Trump as a full-time field organizer. So I had to talk to people, hundreds of phone calls every day of trying to get people to do stuff for the campaign, whether it be knocking doors or calling phones. And from what I noticed, and I hate to say it, but it's just true, is that Democrats are just more passionate, more fired up. You give them the marching orders, they'll show up. Protest, Milo, we'll be there. And they show up. Republicans, you tell them, hey, we need to do this. They're like, well, I'm busy. Well, I'm old. Well, I don't know. Like, it's excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse. Like, they tend to just be lazy or not have the will to do things. And I think it's because a lot of Republicans are of the type of this sort of just leave me alone mentality, whereas Democrats are like, no, you can't do that. No. Like, they're very invasive. And I think from that sort of personality type of being more hands-on, they want to get more involved in hands-on, whereas Republicans are like, dude, just leave me alone. Like, I don't care. And I understand both those sentiments perfectly well, and I don't think there's anything wrong with either of them. But I think the problem with our side is that because of that sentiment, they're just less willing to do something until it's the last minute, civilization's online, and then they finally get up and do something. Unlike people like us who just already get it and like know what's going on and we're very engaged. It's just most people just aren't on, just don't care that much, and so it takes a lot for them to do something.
I've thought that we might somehow benefit from finding a way to gamify that, to make it fun, to make politics for Republicans a fucking app with a like a retarded person app where you press one button and then you like win stuff. I'm not trying to be condescending, but again, like I start to understand how low IQ like some of the language is in these political things, and because it works, right? So, but
if you dangled to our volunteers, hey, you do this, and you get to meet Melania Trump, or you get a nice seat of Trump. Oh, okay. It's like
which is free, costs you nothing, and I'm sure she'll. I mean, I don't know why they don't do more stuff like that, frankly. But they
really should, yeah.
What you're doing is a blast and fun, and I watch Uncensored America videos, and it looks like it looks fun, like it fucking. I think we need more of that, so I appreciate that as well. It's nice. Well, I wake up some mornings and I don't want to do this shit. I mean, I'm sure everybody feels that. And so, making these connections, and the day you have a bad day, Sean is out there riling people up. And then when you have a bad day, you turn on, I made a video that day. And I think you can kind of maintain, and you add people to that sort of group. And I mean, it's not just videos and content creation, it's writing books and music and all kinds of stuff that I really think there's another way to do all of this, and we can all see it. And
yeah,
to a sense, we're trying to get the people that can't see it on board, and all they can see is the way it's always been. So
right, yeah, Sean, you really hit the nail on the head in describing like the average stereotypical conservative, like leave me alone, like let me grow in peace mentality or personality type. And it is a personality type. Like it's not just a boomer thing. It's really like something you'll find in all ages, because this is definitely something I've run into like with college students. And like the amount of times when groups will just get together, try to plan something, and that just not meet any, like that just not become a reality because the amount, like there's no interest, like members just don't show up. They'll initially say that they're interested, but then when the event comes around, or like the planned date, everyone's just like, actually I can't do it, bye.
Let me ask you guys this: do you think, and this is one of my own personal thoughts, leadership seems to be like one of the great injections of energy Trump did in 20 was the leadership thing. I think like it was pretty much a lot of us needed to kind of, lead yourself. You're capable of doing that. It's a very American idea. It's very, culturally American, which is not fully an understood thing yet. It's just forming the American culture. But, when you get four guys together and you try to go ski down, Tussey Mountain or something, if there's not a person that's sort of somewhat taking a leadership role, it's amazing how easily it cannot happen. Like who's driving? Nobody decided, all right, fuck it, we're not doing it. It's like and I kind of get that too. I think it's maybe how you talk about your generation's nihilistic, and it's like, why the fuck, with leadership comes a lot of burdens. And especially now, it's almost a risk to be a leader because, we'll look at Gavin and the Proud Boys and things like the shit he has nothing to do with that has now affected his life in however many ways, things like that. So what I see is really an unwillingness for leadership. And I mean, even in the GOP, like in the local politics, there's lots of people that are involved and lots of people leading things. But when it ever comes to a controversial decision, or like that's the politics. Nobody wants to fucking take ownership of the wrong decision. But it's sort of created no one's taking ownership of any decisions except for Trump. Trump's like, I'll fucking do this, that, and that. If you just fucking do it, we'd be great. But nobody will do it. So, I don't know. That I struggle with that because I feel like I'm at the age where I should probably be trying to step into some of that stuff. I've never really cared about politics, but things are just so ridiculous now. Something has to be done. But then I sit here and even someone's like, oh, maybe you should run for something. My immediate reaction is, no, I don't fucking want to. So, I mean, I'm part of that frustrating group that frustrates you. And I'd like to understand why I feel that way. so that I can understand how other people can stop feeling the way. Best I can tell is like it's just not a lot of fun. When I get up and I can't look at it that day, it's the lack of fun. It's just like so stupid. It's the word. So I don't. Do you, Sean, or like do you do yoga or meditate or ski or surf or do something to stay sane in all of this?
I honestly, yeah, because I totally get what you mean. And that's also what inspired me to start this is because a lot of these events, these orgs, these people just are so boring, and all the cool people, all the interesting people, all the fun people were the first ones get kicked out. We're all the ones that we don't get to hear from anymore. Milo Yiannopoulos, I don't care what anybody says about him. I hear so many negative things about him, and I don't care. I met the guy multiple times. I really like him. Cool guy. But I think if anybody, even the haters admit him, it's undeniable that he is a insanely talented individual. And he's one of the, I'd say, so far, he's the funniest person I have met. He thinks of 10 out of 10 jokes just like this in conversation. Super, super funny guy. And then I see some of these people that get astroturfed up in the industry.
Lex Friedman.
Like, that was a big one.
Oh, the Mossad agent?
Yeah, they're terrible. Well, I meant to say,
he starts and he talks like this, and we're going to have a conversation.
Highly entertaining material.
And his conversation is just asking very just simplistic questions.
And then he's sitting across from like Elon Musk, who's like, great question. And you're like, well, no, why is everyone playing along with this shit? I don't know. He's somebody's nephew or something. But I meant to say.
Yeah, and
So
I've never met Lex. I don't want to say anything about him personally because I just don't know the guy.
Yeah, but fair enough.
When I watch his videos, I fall asleep.
Yeah.
Because he's so boring.
Well, I thought it was...
And then I see Gavin at our event he mentioned him. He's like, yeah, every time that Mossad agent comes up, what's his name? Lex Friedman, I want to punch my computer. I'm like, yeah, I get it. Because that is what everything has become. It's just boring, stale, uninteresting. And that's why I'm the same way. Once this stuff gets boring, I tune out. I don't care anymore. Right. When it's fun, interesting, engaging, and it's cool people, dude, I'm all for it. It's like the best thing in the world. So when I'm hanging with Milo at these events, or he's speaking at our events, or it's Gavin, or if it's Alex, or anybody, or some names that might be coming in the fall, who knows? It's a different thing. It's so much more colorful and interesting and fun and engaging, and you feel something in your soul at that
point.
Feel
alive. Yeah, I mean, this is why I'm here, to be engaged and do shit and be part of, think and be active and use it, not just sit here and make sure I don't say the wrong pronoun. That's obviously not how life is supposed to be lived. It just seems so self-evident, but I thought it was interesting. Yeah. I meant to say, I forgot to mention, you don't just bring quote unquote right-wing people. You had Destiny, I believe, as part of an event, right?
And Brianna Wu.
Yeah. So again, it's
yes.
And yet they'll turn around and label you whatever. But so genuinely of a proven record of having this provable interest in open discussion, the more entertaining the better. I mean, most people would pay money to go watch a movie in it with things in it they don't agree with because it's entertainment. Well, why would you not want to watch two heavyweight boxers that use mouth noises? It's fucking awesome.
Right.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good that you mentioned that because people you saw in that hype video, they all smear us as this far right organization. Even though we have lefties in the org, we have people that are barely right wing, and we host people from all different viewpoints. And what's funny is, I kind of go back and forth on whether do people really want to hear both sides, or are people too siloed and too divisive and too stuck in their own worldview.
Interesting.
And the truth is the numbers speak for themselves. And our most popular video by far is the Milo Destiny debate on Christian nationalism. It has almost 250,000 views. And that was a debate, two very different people coming out from two totally different perspectives. But people loved it. And our best events are always when there's multiple viewpoints on them. I think all of our events have been great, but the ones that really shine and do well and people resonate with are the ones where there's debates between two totally different people or multiple different perspectives on stage. And that's a great example of it. And it's funny you mention that too, because if anybody's curious, one of the other things that came out of the Gavin event when we first did with Alex Stein was the SPLC hit piece on us, our first ever hit piece that came out on us. And the SPLC wrote this big hit piece on how we're bringing back the far right across campuses in America and all this. And it's crazy because they label us as far right, and then they start listening to speakers we've hosted. And there's this one tiny line in the third, fourth, fifth paragraph, whatever it is, where they go, they list all items like that. They host a Milo Yiannopoulos, who's this far right Christian nationalist, Gavin McInnes, Fab Proud, blah, 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 blah. And they also host Hunter Avalon. And they also host Destiny. And then, okay, and this is how awful they are. It's like, okay, it's clearly dishonest smears. Like, these people are just scum. They're like the worst people in the world. It's like it's like they're like critics, Gavin called them ghost hunters. They're always like looking for, a Nazi under the bed.
Yeah.
Or, and it's like, and they're not there. Like, if you know anything about me, I hate racists, I hate Nazis, and they hate me. But of course, they don't care. And of course, they write this whole hit piece on me where they're like, oh, he was in this club who had these people in it, who was also related to this club with these people.
I read this. I read this.
Yeah, this guilt by association is insane because there's this one dude.
I was laughing at
name
it. Yeah.
Is Robert Morse, who I did know. He was a friend, but I wasn't like super tight with him. Like, we didn't, plan any clan meetings or something like that. Like that, like they want you to think. And he's like a normal dude, like served in the army, but he went to J6, got involved with some riots and whatnot. And so now they're trying to like guilt by associate me with a J6er. It's like, this is dishonest. Just because I know this guy, this means that like I'm this awful far right person. It's just insane. Or like there are some like people that were in some club they used to be involved with that did some bad stuff later in life. It's like, I don't have any control of that.
Right. I was literally laughing out loud reading this article.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Well, because when you're on this side of it, you see every single part of what they do. It's like, for 10 years ago, you shared a sandwich with a man who hates blacks,
and he has Russian salad dressing on it.
Yeah, just fucking. I honestly,
and I remember when I was reading it, and when I got to the part that was about me, I'm like, I started thinking back, like, of all the craziest connections that they could make. It's like the Always Sunny meme with all the lines.
Yeah, you could do whatever. You could make anything work. Yeah, for sure.
And that's what I thought. I'm like, they're gonna do that, aren't they? And I'm like, okay, they got that one. Yeah, they thought of that. Yeah. Oh, I didn't think of that. How nice. And it's like,
I forgot about that.
So
I didn't call that guy.
Honest. Yeah. Hey, I forgot about him. It's been
Steve, man. It's like Steve forever. What's he doing? Apparently, he joined the Nazis or something.
Yeah, it's like they're just so like this is what they do. Even though we've hosted left-wing people, the left-wing people like me too. Like Destiny and I are cool. I like Destiny. He's a very good guy, very nice.
Yeah.
And we disagree probably on everything, but he's a good guy and we get along well. But no, it's like you're an awful racist far right Nazi.
Even outside of any of the emotional stuff, it's just if someone is like, hey, this is a prominent, well-known person that people consider to have valuable thoughts, I'd be like, I'm curious to hear what they have to say. Destiny, or anyone. If they have built enough of a name for themselves that they have that name, then yeah, I'll fucking listen and I'll make up my own mind. If it's terrible, I just won't watch it again. I'm not gonna go try to get them canceled.
Yeah.
Stop. I close my eyes and turn around and go somewhere else. It's like not hard.
Yeah. And Sean, you yourself said that like Gamergate was a big defining moment for you in realizing your political identity. And like you being willing to bring on Brianna Wu, who is like on the other side of that, I would say speaks a lot of how willing you are to engage with like opposing voices. Like and that's something that, like the SPLC will never do.
Yeah, the SPLC are just ghost hunters who don't care about anything but sort of this like revenge of the nerds mentality. I think something that Gavin said I think is so true is that this is really all just one big revenge of the nerds. Like these were the people who were bullied by Chad Thundercock in high school, who for having blue hair and for being emo or something, and this is their way of striking back. And it's very childish and pathetic and stupid. Especially like again, they don't know anything about me. Like that's what always gets me. Like not to make it about me, but it's just this happens to so many other people in whether it be big names or even just like small, like average Joes at work that get fired over BS, like or some that they said online allegedly. Is that these people don't even know who you are. Like they even, I always forget this, but it shows you how insane these people are. When after the Gavin event with Alex, 2 days after, I think it was, they called my work, the Antifa group that protests and basically got shut down. The Antifa that were at the Gavin Alex event called my work and tried to get me fired from my job. Okay? Like, don't tell me cancel culture isn't real. Don't tell me you guys are the good guys now.
Right.
If you're literally calling my work, lying about me, and trying to get me fired. Thankfully, my work is cool, and they're good people, and nice and sensible. And they were like, no, Sean, we got a call, and no, we know you're good. Like, this is insane. But these people are just like, they are on a warpath, and the right is like took them forever to wake up and realize this, that these people do not care. And
there's no...
and there are good people on the left.
They have no intent. They lead you along as if they have plans of working together with you once you admit that you screwed them over in whatever way. And so then you're, being a decent, all right, my bad, let's work together. Oh, you just fucking admitted it. Yeah. So we've learned that game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's just psychotic behavior. And, and that's what also inspired me is that, like, the right's not doing anything about this. So I'm like, well, I guess I got it. Like, I know how to do it. After my experience with Turning Point, I figured out how to do events and how to work within the university system. And I knew all the university tricks that they would try to pull. So I saw the potential there, and that's why we jumped on it. And I just hope it gets more people talking. Like, I hate this division. I hate this fighting, and I hate the doxing. I hate the cancellation. I hate the censorship. I just want people to talk more. Because like you said, I don't care if I disagree with you. Like, I disagree with everybody about everything. And I don't care what people say about you. Like, I just want to hear you out and take it for myself. I want somebody else to tell me what you are. I want to hear from myself. And so, there are people that I disagree with on so many things. And the fact that we can't sit down and talk anymore is just the death sentence this country. Like, that we just can't have conversations. Or you can't have a comedy show. Like, that, can't have that. No, shut that down. It's insane to me. And they always call to shut these things down every time we do. Milo, they're like, shut it down. Gavin, shut it down. Like, you see them chanting it. And in the fall, we're going to have some very controversial stuff, and they're going to say the exact same thing. Yep. So, it's crazy.
You're preaching to the choir. On board with everything you're saying. That's kind of what we're trying to do with this whole 3CC thing. I mean, it's 2024. We have the ability to pull in anybody anywhere on the planet and talk about things. So I really appreciate you coming on and kind of talking about yourself and what do and how you think. I'd love to have you back for another conversation at some point. So I have your info. I'll and then all the film stuff I got to talk to you about. But
yeah, thank you. And I will be back in Today Cause, so maybe we can.
Come to the actual into the studio. But yeah, so like I'm all about that as well. I think the conversation we sort of started 6 months ago by saying, what is the problem? Like everyone seems to agree at this point. Something's not quite right. But then you start asking what's the problem, you get a billion different answers, and then those people start fighting with each other, especially right-wing people. So this is, it's honestly great, and I've come to understand it takes probably years of these kinds of conversations, frankly, but like the sooner you start, the better. And if we don't see you again for a year, or we see you 10 times over the next year, either way, it's just more than zero is moving in the right direction, I think. So, and then again, how like we talked about before this, we're all our own people. So like you go out and, murder a bunch of people. Number one, I can't stop you. Number two, it's not my job to stop you. And if somebody tries to say that makes me a bad person, I don't give a shit anymore. So, so for what it's worth.
Yeah, I wanted to give one little more white pill, and I'll let Jack go because I think Jack looks like he has some thoughts on this. But
yeah,
I want to leave one big white pill, which is that because people think like, does this actually have an impact? Are we actually like getting closer together? Are we bridging gaps? Are we actually like, what's going on? Does anything come of this? And the beautiful thing I've noticed during every event, we almost always have on campuses the most diverse events, the biggest events, and people actually keeping the conversation going. Like the Milo event, if you look, it's on video. I'm not lying. You can see it for yourself. You look at the crowd for the Milo event, which was super controversial, talking about something that's a very unpopular position, especially at that time. The crowd had makeups of everything of whites, blacks, Hispanics, Asians, atheists, Christians, Catholics, Jews, men, women, disabled people, and non-disabled people. Like it had everything, and so it shows that we're bringing people from all different backgrounds here, from all different viewpoints, left, right, center, whatever. They're listening and having these conversations, asking questions during the Q&A, and engaging. People who disagree are engaging. And if you look at the comments on YouTube, you can see all the people continuing the conversation, having discussions, agreeing and disagreeing. And even after our recent event with John Doyle and Brianna Wu at South Carolina, while we were still packing up an hour after the event, packing these up in the car, there were still people in the room or outside of it talking about banning pornography, which was the debate that we were having, and discussing it still to that moment. And again, the conversation goes online. So like if people like are black pilled or worried about things, I get it. I felt it too, but I've seen the results and I've seen that people are actually having these conversations. Like they're coming to these events. They're bringing the conversation to their friends and that's what's great about when something's really controversial is everybody starts talking about it. So you get to have those conversations more than you would if something just happens and nobody pays attention to it. So it is working. And like we've grown from nothing back in 2021 when we first started the YouTube channel to now almost 70,000 subscribers in just 3 years. Yeah. So if people want the conversations, people are listening. It's just, it takes time. And even from the very beginning, like I said, we had the most diverse audience I think Penn State's ever seen at an event. 200 people in a room of all different backgrounds. So, but Jack obviously has more input on this with what because he's on campus all the time. But it's just what I've noticed, and I think it's getting better, thankfully.
For sure. We'll have you take it home here in a second, Jack. But quickly, this is Uncensored America on YouTube. We're just talking about uncensoredamerica.us. Oop, and I clicked myself. Jack, your thoughts?
Once again, like I agree with everything Sean's been saying. What makes like universities just worth even going to is that you're exposed to so many viewpoints, so much information, and there really is no reason for why like organizations like Uncensored America, YAF, TPUSA, etc. shouldn't be allowed to have events on campus. Besides Uncensored America, YAF tried bringing James Lindsay, and the university used the same BS excuse to about security concerns. So they moved him over to the Bryce Jordan Center, and we actually had to cancel the event for that semester to bring him over to the next semester. And even then, they tried pulling the same old tricks again, but we managed to still find a better location in the end. And it happened again with Turning Point USA with Riley Gaines. Around 3 times actually, they tried bringing her onto campus, and everyone gave into the pressure and decided not to host her. But then we eventually had to bring her to a dreaded free speech zone, which is the front of the hub lawn. And it was a great event. She didn't get to speak. She spoke to us afterwards, but it was still a very entertaining event in that it actually got people discussing about things that they hadn't before. And John, if you want to cut to that one Reddit post I showed you, Sean might appreciate this because I don't think you were. Yeah, you weren't there, Sean. Guy? Yeah. So 2 protesters show up to one of our tables while we're doing the event, and they got arrested for what you'll see right now.
All right, let me play this here. It should be
Yo. Excuse me, sir. Don't touch our stuff.
Oh, you're not.
Transfer.
Huh? Why should I be transphobic?
You are transphobic.
No.
What the fuck is the sign you're holding right now, huh? Get this shit out.
Yo,
That's on camera, right?
calm down. Calm down, guys.
What?
Where's the police? You're trying to
Where's the police? Have better ideas.
Behave.
Let's go. No one's fucking attacking you.
I've seen too much. I shouldn't like. My reaction is to laugh now at that kind of stuff. I probably seem like a psychopath to normal people.
You have to. You have to laugh.
This one and this one.
With the backpack.
And the one with the mask.
And the mask.
Yep.
Don't fucking touch me like that.
Are we being detained? Are we being
Can you
detained?
let go?
Are we being arrested? Are we being
Don't
detained?
touch me.
Are we being Are we being detained?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you being
arrested?
He's watched some sovereign citizen videos.
You can put in
Yeah.
What crime have I
this
committed?
part.
What
Listen
crime
to
have I?
this part.
It's really conduct right
Am I being detained? Arrested.
If you didn't hear that one person, like there's like someone off frame asking what they were being arrested for. The officer said disorderly misconduct, and they responded with, "Okay, what does that mean?" Yeah.
What's it mean?
But yeah, in a just world, that's what would happen to people just looking for fights, just looking to disrupt events. But unfortunately, we don't live in that reality right now.
Did anything? This was how long ago, roughly?
This is last semester.
Did our DA actually charge these people?
I do not know. Like
just shocked
it's
they
very
did.
it's very under wraps. These two people.
I'm a psycho, man. I'm sorry, guys. I've been doing this too long.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, okay.
Am I being detained?
Yeah, you have handcuffs on you right now. Yes. Well, what crime?
Hilarious.
Flipping the table. We saw it. What do you mean? What crime? That's my favorite.
That's like when that dude. I think you were there for a little bit, Jack, when they were doing those Israel-Palestine protests at Allen Street Gates.
Yes.
And this dude came up with a skateboard. And I think it's because they recognized me from this, and I think they thought I was pro-Israel, even though I'm not. I was not on either side. I was just standing there. He comes up to me, and I forget what he said. He said something about me being scrawny. He's like, I think he said "F you" and your scrawny legs, and he hit me with his skateboard right in front of a cop.
Did he get arrested?
And they immediately were like, "ID now." Booked it.
What is it with the left and hitting people with skateboards? It's just not a weapon I would choose. I don't think there's a lot of thought involved.
Half them are skaters or something. Like, I don't know. They just
Oh,
crazy.
well, at
I
least
don't
we
know.
all still have a bit of a sense of humor about it. I'm honestly a little worried that I'm going to lose my sense of humor. And not that I know what will happen here, but certainly the way it seems to be going. And of course, you guys are in the age group. I probably still am too. That, some World War type shit. I'd probably be your commanding officer at least.
Yes, you would.
I'd get to send you guys. I'd be like, you fuck, where's Jack at? We need to take that machine gun nest. I ain't doing it. Where's Jack?
Yeah, I'll be your meat shield.
In Saving Private, you've seen Saving Private Ryan, right?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, at the beginning when he sends those guys around the corner, like 3 groups in a row, and they just get mowed down, and he's like, "Well, we got the next one." I'll be that guy.
Right.
But at the end of it, I'll make some kind of altruistic self-sacrifice by blowing up a bridge, and then you'll get to look at my gravestone as an old man, or whatever. However that movie ended.
Yeah, old Matt Damon,
Matt Damon.
looking at the graves. Yeah.
Oh, it's all so tiresome. But great show, guys. It's really nice for me to from where I'm sitting, you guys are younger. So I know you're also at the age where you fucking hate hearing that because it's not really true anymore. But I feel your pain. The older people say the same shit to me for what it's worth. I thought you were 10. Go fuck yourself. You know I'm not. So I start punching people. Lost my mouth there a little bit. But I like very much being my actual self. I'm terrible at business and branding, but I think you guys both also seem to enjoy being yourself, at least when you are able to be. And Sean, hope to have you back sometime. I really will send you some details about the film. I'm always down for the stuff I care about, finding people that also care about it.
Yeah, I'd love to help you out, man. Like, you've been a You're a legend in the meme world veteran.
It shocks
love
me to
working
hear
with
that.
people like you and helping you out, and I appreciate everything you've done. For
Yeah,
me
and truly, like I said,
everything.
however I can be a help to any of your efforts, you got my number, so hit me up. But I think we'll see you around more here before the election, unless the planet explodes, which it very well might.
Yeah.
And,
and if for some reason, like when we have our event, I forget to text you and hit you up, which I will. But if I do,
I'll be in touch with this
just
guy
hit
too.
me up.
Yeah,
I'll give you free tickets and everything.
That would
and
be
Jack,
awesome.
Thank you so
I'd
much for hooking
definitely
us
be down
up.
to
You
come
get
by.
front row seats as well.
It would be awesome. Well, thank you again. I'm not like trying to force us off. I'm just kind of out of things to say, and I feel like we're at kind of a good stopping point. Any final promos, links, things worth mentioning, upcoming events, either that you would want to let people know about?
If people want to watch all of the content I've been talking about, all the events, and
I'm definitely
all
going to take a
the-
look
and
at some of that myself.
Stay
yeah.
tuned for everything that's coming up. Subscribe to Uncensored America on YouTube and go to the website uncensoredamerica.us. If you want to start a chapter on your campus, we are begging you to, so that we have more stuff like this. We have more conversations across the country.
Awesome.
You can do it at uncensoredamerica.us. Follow us on X, Instagram. All the links are on the website and all on YouTube as well. So if you can click a few extra buttons, you'll be able to find it. And please, if anybody from Uncensored America is tuning in, give John a follow, give Jack a follow, wherever they're at. They want to plug their stuff. They'll be up next with those links. But please give them all a follow, because we got to support everybody in this movement. We're all in together, okay?
Yeah, it's very true.
It's not, just one of us. It's everybody.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you. And likewise, go check this channel out, this website out for real. Go take a look at it. I still need to get some button labels. Damn. YouTube, here we go. Growing fast and getting bigger. There's some good stuff on here. I've watched a little bit of myself, and I never do that. And I was intrigued, and I did. So this is great. Any final thoughts? We'll see you. You're finishing up your finals and stuff here pretty much, but then you're going to be around for the summer.
Yes, I am.
So we'll hope we might even do our own little show. We'll see.
Yeah, if I were to give some links or shout outs, I would say if you can, support local Penn State conservative chapters for TPUSA. Yeah, they do good work. Also, if you're registered to vote in the State College area, please consider voting for Therese Holland. I'm interning for her, and she's running for the 82nd District against Paul Takak. If you could, give her your support, I really appreciate that.
Well, I think we'll probably hopefully have her on again as well. There's a previous episode with her. Great candidate. Thank you all again for joining us. Let me here quickly pull up these super chats that I never addressed. Sorry about that. We will one day get a dedicated producer. And I also saw some comments that some of your comments are being dropped, which continues to be an adventure. So I see William's channel here. William Mann's our storyboard artist for the film. So glad to see that there is some kids with actual thoughts that make sense. There is hope. Yeah, I think you guys maybe don't, with older people, seeing guys like both of you is a relief to some degree. So.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, because we're not that different other than age. I feel that our outlooks and worldviews are pretty much the same.
Just different, different versions of each other in some sense. And no, once again, I can't pull up any of the other ones, which I know there were right at the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, but the best thing is not to bridge the gaps between age and show that it's the answer isn't on two separate islands. It's join the two islands together.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. I found him here, by the way. It was Lord of the Ree on Rumble. So good afternoon, listening to the stream while doing things around the house, around the show. My favorite line from Milo was, if you can take a dick, you can take a joke.
Take a joke. Yeah.
That was a typo. He did mean to say around the house. That weirded me out. And then Lord of the Relator Gavin whipped his pee-pee out on a live stream. Oh, okay. This is an anti-Gavin comment. Which, again, knowing some of the things he's done, I mean, yeah, you're smiling. So it is what it is. We're all performers in this world. So the chat is pretty wild.
Gavin is a wild guy, but he's a fun guy. I love him.
I'm all about it, man. I'll defend that position to the death, and you don't even have to get involved. I'll take care of these idiots in the chat.
I remember he once. I remember when he.
No, they would say the same thing.
I remember he once kissed Milo to make a point that he's not homophobic. You remember that, Sean?
Yeah.
does what others won't, but it's so funny. It's so great. And it's like Gavin said at our event, like he will die. I will die on the hill of being a goof and being, silly and, irreverent. Like that to me is like just peak Americana. That's what it's all about.
There's definitely this American culture forming, but memes are a big part of it, but it's uniquely American, that's for sure. So we'll see. But I'm going to call it good there. I'm going to pull this up one more time. Any just kind of final comments? So Mrs. Babout, pro-gun or pro-Second Amendment semantics. David Brown, isn't Charlie Kirk a hardcore Zyobot? That's a whole nother side of the factions. That's even so, you know what? Just quit. Someday I want to ask you guys about the drama within Turning Point USA itself, but not right now. This is every big group starts to get groups within it. It's just kind of how it goes down.
We can probably dedicate like half an episode to that. I know
not right now.
I know I have my own story.
I'm trying desperately to find my outro music button, and I've just been stalling the whole time, like 10 minutes now, trying to find it. But I know. So thank you. I'm just gonna press it, and let's get it up volume. See now this happens. Oh, there it is. I hear it. The non-copyrighted jungle music. You know how that goes, Sean.
Yeah.
And we're not starting soon. We're don't letting your memes be dreams soon. So thank you everybody. Another great 3cc episode. Thank you, Sean Semanko.
First time.
Uncensored America. Check it out. All those links, I'll add them in the description. And Jack, thank you again for joining us. I am John Ward. Till next time, remember, you are a world champion. Don't let your memes